Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a truly fascinating compilation of philosophical source material that basically holds a giant mirror right up to modern life. There's this single, incredibly powerful pulse running through all the texts we're looking at today. It's the deep, constant tension between what is genuinely built and what is merely performed. We are going to break down the profound difference between raw, honest truth and its really convincing imitation.
And it all boils down to this incredibly piercing question. Seriously, think about this for a second. Are you actually becoming something, or are you just staging the appearance of it? It's a question that completely forces us to stop and evaluate our own lives. Because in a world that is just utterly obsessed with optics, how often are we truly doing the hard, quiet work of becoming versus just acting the part for an audience?
Okay, let's dive right into this. On one side, we have the real. Now, this is the identity you earn through quiet, consistent action. But on the other side, we have the performed, an identity that is merely assigned to you through a label. This critical difference between undeniable substance and a totally hollow imitation is the core framework we'll be using for our explainer today. To unpack all of this, here is our roadmap. Number 1, staging the appearance. 2, when the foundation cracks. 3, building brick by boring brick. And finally, the joy of the ordinary. All right, let's jump in.
Section 1. Staging the appearance, the trap of constructed fictions.
So we are constantly swimming in constructed realities. Just think about social media influencers, or the wildly inflated, hyperproductive schedules of CEOs, or even just the carefully curated lives of practically everyone around us. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we're talking about. Seth Godin notes that all dogs are basically mixed breeds, right? The only thing making a purebred valuable is that an association slapped a label on it. Godin is pointing out that a breed standard is literally just a document. It's a completely invented system of status that we all just kind of agree to believe in.
Which brings us to this really interesting concept of invented taxonomies. Because just like we label dogs, humans invent arbitrary labels for ourselves all the time. We call someone an intellectual, an athlete, a leader, or on the flip side, a failure. We create these taxonomies and then we mistakenly treat them like they are fundamental reality. We accept these retrospective categories as if they were hard, fast facts. And then we totally exhaust ourselves trying to perform our way into them.
The problem here is that our vision gets completely skewed by these labels. Take the mother's lens, for example. The source material references this brilliant Arab proverb that says a mother sees a gazelle when she looks at her monkey. Love, pride, and ego massively distort our lens. But contrast that with the objective reality, which states that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. The point is, we have got to stop comparing our unedited, messy interior reality to everyone else's highly edited exterior performance. When you compare your truth to their fiction, you're going to lose every single time.
Moving right along to Section 2, when the foundation cracks, imitation versus substance.
So what actually happens when we live entirely in that performed exterior? Well, performing virtue without the inner substance to actually back it up isn't just exhausting, it has deeply dangerous consequences. To highlight this, check out this deceptively simple parable from Anthony DeMello. A master's disciples start copying his simple lifestyle, and he just laughs and asks them, does a goat become a rabbi because he grows a beard? I love this because it injects a little bit of humor while making a totally devastating point. You can perfectly copy every external behavior of a master, the clothing, the habits, everything. But if the internal motivation is missing, the whole thing is completely hollow.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how the legendary author Leo Tolstoy takes this concept even further. He argues that naked cruelty is terrible. Absolutely. But hey, it is at least openly unkind and honestly signaled. But disguised kindness, faking a virtue you don't even possess, he says that is actually far worse. Why? Because performing kindness without the inner substance corrupts the very signal by which human trust is established in the first place. It is a deeply insidious form of lying.
Let's see how this builds upon some ancient wisdom, specifically the biblical metaphor from Luke 6 that's in our source text. A house built on rock represents character that is operational, meaning it's real, it actually does the work. A house built on sand, though, is just form without substance. So for any leader, coach, or professional out there listening, an imitated foundation looks exactly the same as a real one on a nice sunny day. But when the flood comes, when the real pressure hits, that performed foundation is going to inevitably collapse.
All right, Section 3, brick by boring brick, the process.
So how do we pivot away from all this exhausting noise of performance? How do we shift our focus to the calm, grounded methodology of the Stoics? Well, the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius advises this. You must build up your life action by action, and be content if each one achieves its goal as far as possible. This is literally the ultimate anti-performance position. The real thing isn't built on a stage under bright lights for applause. It's built quietly, incrementally, in the dark, way before anyone is even watching.
And practically speaking, what does that actually look like? It looks like these 3 steps, drawn straight from the coaching world. Step 1, ignore the scoreboard. Step 2, execute this single rep. Step 3, repeat the process. Our sources align Coach Nick Saban's famous process with leadership expert Simon Sinek's rule. Sinek points out that practice isn't what you do once you're good. Practice is the thing that actually makes you good. You don't perform the result, you just execute the action.
But there is a massive catch here, perfectly highlighted by the Stoic philosopher Seneca. He reminds us that the future lies in complete uncertainty. Therefore, we have to match the swiftness of time with the quickness of our own action. Do not wait for conditions to magically improve. Begin the process right now, today, and just refuse to stop. Seneca pushes us toward this resolute urgency of now. We've got to stop waiting for that glamorous, perfect moment to act and start embracing the unglamorous, immediate action right in front of us.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 4, the joy of the ordinary, finding the real.
So when you finally strip away all those labels, the audience, and the performance, what is actually left? Let's bring all this abstract philosophy right down to earth with a deeply relatable emotional anchor. Consider this incredibly sobering quote from the late Anthony Bourdain. He was talking about simply standing in his backyard in an apron, flipping burgers with his daughter nearby, and he said, "When I find myself doing that, I am like ridiculously stupid happy." Just think about the weight of that for a second. The man with arguably the most glamorous, heavily traveled, widely televised life found his absolute peak happiness in the most aggressively normal, unperformed activity possible.
So the crucial point is this. The ordinary, when it is genuinely inhabited, vastly outweighs the extraordinary performed. Bourdain's tragedy, which really anchors the emotional core of today's explainer, is that knowing exactly where true happiness lives, it just isn't enough. You actually have to build your daily life around it.
And one incredibly effective way to start doing that is through a practice called Seneca's Bonus Day. The exercise here is to treat each day as if it were a complete life. When you go to sleep, consider the books closed, done. If you do this genuinely, not just as a pose, but for real, you wake up tomorrow feeling lighter, highly present, and totally free from trivial anxiety. It entirely strips away that constant need to perform for tomorrow, leaving you completely free to genuinely inhabit the present moment today.
And that brings us to the ultimate takeaway of this explainer. Build the real thing. Don't perform it. Practice until it actually is you. Remember, true character is operational, it is not optical. It's not about what people see. It's about what you consistently do when the cameras are off, when the audience is long gone, and when all those labels are finally stripped away.
Which leaves us with this final, pretty vital question to carry with you today. What are you going to genuinely build today, brick by boring brick? Take a moment, step off the stage, strip away the performance, and go find that authentic action. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep building, and I'll catch you next time.